Adam del Monte, and this was the piece called Valenciana by Sergio Assad, from the 3 Spanish pieces that he composed. I absolutely love this piece. When I first started learning it, I just had a love affair with this piece by just playing it over and over and over again. As you can hear, it has the most beautiful, lush harmonies and just incredible counterpoint, and the challenge of bringing out the melody on top, and all these subtle, intricate things happening in the bass and the middle voices is just so much fun to play. Also, what I love about it is that it's so melodic and the harmonies are so beautiful, but it sits so comfortably on the guitar, in the hands, that it's just such a pleasure to play. And so again, this is just one of my favorite pieces for the last year that I've been just playing incessantly. This beautiful guitar was built for me by Hansen, and it's absolutely gorgeous, as you can see. Look at this beautiful work here. And I believe this is Brazilian rosewood, which is amazing. It's the, the Rolls Royce of wood. And this guitar is actually designed to be a flamenco guitar, but in essence, as you can see, I just played a classical piece on it, which means I have to tread a little bit more gently. However, it still has a very warm tone to it, right? You can still, you don't have to, if you go hard on it, it's got plenty of rasp, which is what you want in flamenco. But if you just ease off a little bit, you'll get a very warm tone out of this guitar. So it's very versatile. So welcome to my home. This is my studio. It's a nice big space. It's always a little bit, a lot going on here, but it's my little man cave, and I enjoy being here. And I look out the window and there's a beautiful view of the nursery out there. And I'm in Reseda, California, which is in Los Angeles. And yeah, welcome to my little home hangout, musical hangout. The challenge with this piece is to, on one hand, make that melody lush and sing and soar, like a queen, the way Sergio said. It has to soar like a queen. And so on one hand, you want to bring out the melody, but you don't want to push it or press it too hard. So your dynamic control has to be sort of from the waist down, very, very, although it has to project, but it has to still be, sort of, there has to be room to grow in the piece dynamically, what happens later. So the opening theme here, after the introduction, so here you're playing piano, but then the accompaniment has to be just ever so gentle and delicate to not overshadow the melody, but at the same time you want to hear it. You want to have some level of transparency. Right? Even here, this kind of thing, it's very easy to kind of slam that trill, but you want to be a lot of control in the left hand to make it very gentle. So. So the temptation is that in the middle voices, there's so many interesting things going on that you're tempted to bring them out because they're so interesting. But you have to really be very disciplined and keep them down and just make sure that they create this atmosphere that is, sort of mysterious, almost mystical. But at the same time, you want to hear them transparently, but without overpowering the melody. I'm going to play Sevillanas, and the title of this piece is called A Manolo Sanlúcar, who is one of the great masters of flamenco who just passed away last year. So the Sevillanas is actually a social dance. And this typical, as you saw, I stopped between every single one, and there's 4 Sevillanas. And musically speaking, from a harmonic point of view, many different things can happen. As you can see, each one is in a different key slightly. And sometimes the key changes are much more extreme. I kind of decided to go a little bit more conservative. So A minor, and then F sharp, Phrygian, and then A Phrygian, and then A major. So that's just, again, a very sort of personal random choice that any player / composer can do. The Sevillanas is actually sort of on the lightest spectrum of flamenco, together with the rumba. And it's more folkloric in nature because, again, it's a social dance and it's just all about having fun. But there are some Sevillanas that are kind of a little bit more broody, a little bit more melancholic, if you will, but usually they're kind of happy and very, very positive. And rhythmically speaking, they're actually pretty tricky because there's a lot of sort of rhythmic possibilities. It's in 3, but there's an inner structure of 12 times 3 with the lead in bars, right? So you have the lead in. Right? These are the lead-in bars, and then the melody starts. And so on. So there's a very particular structure to that, and it's kind of a challenge to write a Sevillanas where I wanted to sort of really respect the tradition and not go too crazy rhythmically and get too overly complicated. I just wanted to really respect the sort of more of a traditional feel of the Sevillanas. So in flamenco, unlike in classical guitar, or in classical music in general, ideally the player should also be the composer. Now, there's a sort of a sliding scale of that, because you have, flamenco is this massive pool of information and of community repertoire and community phrases, licks, if you will. And we all share on the fundamental basic material that defines flamenco, depending, of course, on which form you're playing. Every form has its own stylistic and characteristic bits and pieces to it that give the signature to each form. But within that, whether it's soleá or sevillanas or bulería or alegría, these are different forms that have different rhythmic structures, which we call compás. And within the compás and within the character of the pieces, every guitarist, ideally again, should find their own voice in composing within those parameters. And this is what I did in the Sevillanas. I took the existing form of Sevillanas with all its rules, but the melodic material and the harmonic material is my own composition. But of course, just that is like the standard compás, the standard rhythm that we all have to respect and utilize one way or another. And there's infinite ways of expressing this compás. Again, I decided to respect it in a very, very traditional way. But all the melodic material there is, again, my own composition, because that is what is expected of a soloist flamenco guitarist. When you're playing for a singer or a dancer, it's a completely different ball game. I don't want to go on too much in length about that, but when you're playing for a singer, of course, you're accompanying the singer. The singer is the focus. The guitarist has to sort of create a supporting platform for the singer to feel comfortable. And it's all about accompanying and finding the right chords, of course, giving the right changes to the voice. But at the same time, in real time, the guitarist, the accompanying guitarist, is there to just kind of carry the singer in a very, very particular way, and everyone does it slightly differently. When you play for dance, then you have to carry, the guitarist has to carry both the singer and the dancer, and it's all about, the focus is on the dance. So the type of playing is much more power-oriented, because you really have to give a tremendous amount of feedback and support to the dancer where he's doing footwork, and it's very powerful footwork. You have a whole rhythm section of palmas, and the singer, of course, on top of that. So the guitar really is like the base of everything that holds everything together. And so it's typical that the guitarist plays much stronger, and also the type of stuff that you play is maybe not as intricate and as delicate as it is when you play as a soloist. So those are the three different usages and modes, if you will, of the flamenco guitar. So I'd like to share a little tip on developing speed in your picado, or in the apoyando scale playing. And for that, I would like to share with you my brand new book that just came out a few months ago with Mel Bay. And it's called Scalathon, okay? So there's lots of, tons and tons of exercises, starting with the simplest one, which is what I'm gonna just share with you today. And that is just creating a very fast burst of only 2 notes, right? You just start with 2 notes. And you go from I to M, M to I. And you just kind of lean into it. And you want to get that feeling where, even though you're playing 2 notes, it's one movement, it's one pulsation, if you will, right? Okay, so you do that for a bit. Of course, you can do it on all the strings, because every height that you play in is a slightly different feel, right? So you want to get used to every single sensation on every different string, right? And so on. Then after 2 comes 3. And so on, up until about 5, or I think I have 5 or 6 in the book. So when you do that, you're kind of training your fingers to, again, it's like kind of building up your lung capacity when you're swimming underwater. First, you hold your breath for just the width of the pool, right? And then you do 2 widths of the pool, and then you do a whole length of the pool. So it's all about creating sort of this physical conditioning for these bursts of energy for picado. So this next piece is in the style of taranto, which is sort of it's a very slow, brooding type of style, and it comes from the mine workers. It comes from it's a form that comes from the mines, and it has a slow section and then a fast section. The fast section isn't the same tonality, but it's in a tanguillo form, or a jaleo form, which is a sort of a 6/8 kind of thing. And I don't really have a title that I'm absolutely convinced about yet with this piece. I'm calling it right now Buscando la luz, meaning I'm searching for the light. But we'll see, maybe I'll change the title or not. Anyway, here it goes. So this particular piece, one of my old students and friends challenged me to write a taranto that would be in an alternate tuning and that would not be so overly charged with too many melodies and too many themes. So I try to keep it more disciplined and reuse the themes in different iterations. So there were two challenges and restrictions that I embraced. And so the first, of course, being the alternate tuning, and that is something that flamenco guitarists have been doing since the 1930s. In fact, the first guy to do that was Ramon Montoya, who's one of the founding fathers, one of the most important figures in flamenco. So taranto is typically played, let me just show you real quickly how taranto is typically played. So this is we're in standard tuning, and this is the voicing and the chords of taranto. Right, that's the traditional classic way of doing taranto. But when you do it with an alternate tuning, such as the one I've devised, and I'll show you exactly what I did. So I took the D down, the E down to D, and then the B I brought down to B flat or A sharp. So as you can see, the positions look different, but also what it does is, of course, it creates different harmonic possibilities that otherwise wouldn't be available on a standard tuning. So I was looking for a sort of a dark, brooding color, and I believe that this tuning really brings it out. We always have that A sharp as a drone that is... See these harmonies. So very different possibilities are available when you have these different tunings. So that was kind of a challenge that I accepted. And also, this guitar, as you can see, it's called a negra. It's a black guitar, which is usually Brazilian or Indian rosewood. Whereas the blanca is made up of, the back and sides are cypress. And as you can hear, it has a much brighter sound. It's a much more aggressive and sort of the difference is like a Ferrari and a Rolls Royce. That's basically, one is a luxurious ride and one is a sort of a fast, speedy ride. So this is the N700 model, which collaborating with Hansen, we kind of put our heads together and created a guitar that would be, professional level, flamenco sounding, and definitely affordable. So check those out.